All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fed League Flash for Saturday, December 21st, for Friday's game. I'll show you my beauty here. Dashers have some beautiful merchandise, and this was what they had printed up for their Military Appreciation Day that they did for a while. I'm told I got the last extra large in this. It's a beauty. Anyway, so I wanted to show that off. Okay, Mississippi. The adventure never ends. They get in the bus to head to Port Huron. The bus breaks down almost immediately, so they get an RV. 16 guys head up, and that included emergency backup goaltender Elijah Best. And they make a game of it, 2-1 in overtime for the Prowlers. It was a pretty tight contest. I thought it very, very interesting, though, that of the people from Mississippi who made the trip up, Coach Rich Perrant was not one of them. It struck me as odd. Is there something there? I don't know. Anyway, for the game itself, Alex Johnson breaks a 1-1 deadlock in the overtime session, just 45 seconds in. There were also goals by Tucker Scantlebury and Dalton Anderson. I believe that's Anderson's 8th goal of the year now. So he obviously is leading goal scorer for the Seawolves. Sam Best played very well. Stopped 37-39. Got a star of the game, rightfully so. Valtteri Nusiainen stops 26-27. And so crowd of 965 watching the game. There you go. Port Huron improves to 9-10-2 on the season. Mississippi is now 3-15-1. But at least they got a point. This was a goal fest. This was just crazy. We went from 3-0 Danbury to 6-3 Motor City seemingly in a flash. It was 3-1 at the end of one, and then Motor City gets I believe it was 4 goals in the second period, three goals, and they continued in the third. Crazy. And then there was a goal flurry at the end, and you went from, okay, Motor City's got this wrapped up, to, do they? So Ricardo Gonzalez stops 45 of 51, another 50-plus save performance from, or 50-plus shot performance by Motor City as far as the defense. And they get 33 of their own, not too bad. But 7-6 squeak out victory for the Rockers. Let's see. TJ Sneath had 2 goals and 2 assists. We had Carson Baptiste with a couple goals. Sneath got that game winner, by the way, at 12:49 in the third. At that point, it made it 7-4. Things got interesting. Backup goalie Trevor Babin. So he's on his way back. For Danbury, Connor McCollum, not the night he wanted to have. He stops 26 of 33, not 53 as I wrote for some reason. That would be a lot of goals to give up. And so we had Noah Robinson, a goal and 3 assists on the night. Very good night for him. And then there were several players who got a goal and an assist. Crowd of 1927 on hand. The big thing was 23 shots on goal for the hat tricks in the third period when they were at that point down 6-3. They just poured it on. They went all out and they almost made it back. So really, really interesting game. But for that game, Motor City now 8-10-1. They're improving a little bit here. And Danbury is now 8-7-4. Our battle for Georgia. And this time it goes to the Columbus River Dragons. By the way, the little stars Yeah, I made the correct prediction of this game. I went 5 for 7 last night, so that's not bad. Um, so Athens falls just short, as Columbus really clamped down the defense in the latter part of the game. Um, it is Ryan Hunter scoring the game winner in overtime at 4:19. Really, Athens just kind of seemed out of it once we started the third period, and that's because the Columbus defense was so good, only allowing a total of 5 shots on goal in the last 24 plus minutes of this game. So that is really something. Um, Athens gets a goal from Carter Shinkarik. Josh Rosenzweig, he stops 30 of 32. And for the Dragons, Matt Pezizian comes back and he has himself a good game, stopping 23 or 24. So the question is with Columbus, is somebody going to be the odd man out because they've got 3 extremely good goaltenders now? Yeah, so Pezizian with the win. Rosenzweig takes the loss. And the crowd of 2676 on hand. Final shots 32 to 24 in overtime. Let's switch boards up. I also had to get a little drink here. All right, so we started off the night. This was actually the first game of the night. Binghamton hosting the Dashers. This is the third game in a row between these two teams. Of course, last week it was in Danville, and last night in Binghamton. So again, it's like you see signs that the Dashers are improving, and they just have one little bad segment of a game, and it just falls apart. But anyway, so the goaltenders, as you saw on the thumbnail, yep, that was a goalie fight. Parker Rutherford and Connor McAnanama. Um, immediately after the game, Connor's dad messaged me and said, "Do goalies get suspended for a fight?" And I was like, "Usually not." But anyway, that was interesting. We started off the game, and it was a little bit of back and forth. Binghamton getting the bulk of the shots in the first period, but the Dashers not giving up anything egregious. Wasn't any super tough saves that Rutherford made. He made the saves pretty easily early on in the game. Cam Clark breaks the scoreless tie at 14:15 of the first period to get the Black Bears on the board. And then from there on, for the next 26 minutes, 27 minutes, it was pretty uneventful. The Dashers played a sound defensive game for that period of time. The shots were 12 apiece in the second period. Both teams got a couple of good chances. Both Rutherford and McAnanama made some saves, some pretty big saves. But again, there wasn't anything really no, there wasn't like a whole bunch of odd man rushes. It was a sound defensive game by both teams. So we went to the third period with a still just 1-0, and then 34 seconds in, Bodan Zinchenko scores for Dashers, and everybody's going, "What? It's 1-1." Yeah. Don't forget, Dashers played Binghamton tough last Saturday and took them to overtime. So yeah, everything is looking pretty good, and then the roof fell in. It's Don Oliveri scoring at 3:13, putting the Binghamton Black Bears back up, and then it was just a flurry of goals. It was 5:31 on a power play. Kirkby scores for the Black Bears on a 2-on-1 break. Kirkby scores again at 7:46. So we had 3 goals in like 3.5 minutes. and then it was kind of over there. Kyle Steffen scored at. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, well, Kirkby scored the second goal. So Kyle Steffen scores at 11:44. And then at 13:12, it's Don Alveri again. Beautiful shot. And then, yeah, we had our little Donnybrook. Some activity going on behind the goal. Some fists are being thrown. I see Connor McNamara wave at the other end, and next thing you know, he and Rutherford are meeting at center ice. And yeah, as goalie fights go, it wasn't the most dramatic or most spectacular, but hey, it was good. It got the crowd into it. The crowd had been pretty quiet, with the exception of when Binghamton was scoring a goal. Yeah, they were pretty quiet, and then that happened. So both Rutherford and McAnanama are given the gate, and it's like, okay, you guys left the crease, you started a fight, okay, bye bye. So Nolan Egbert comes in for the Binghamton Black Bears, Oscar Walgren for the Dashers. They both made one save, and yeah, that was it. So yeah, we ended up 7-1 for the Black Bears, improving to 17-3-1. The Dashers are now 1-15-3. And for those keeping track, yeah, the losing streak is now at 17. They have a long way to go before they catch up to the Delaware Thunder, though, who lost 28 or were winless in 28. So it's a winless streak at this point at 17 for the Dashers. Yeah, Zinchenko with the goal. Rutherford ended up saving 35 of 41, and, well, the total time played was 53-43, and then a little scrap at center ice happened. For the Black Bears, Oliveri scores 2 goals. Kirkby scores 2 goals. Thompson had 3 assists on the night. And Connor McAnanama, he goes 950, saving 19 of 20. So that is that. Crowd of 3470 on hand. That was the biggest crowd of the night. So I guess everybody's just kind of busy with Christmas stuff. Yeah, I get it. All right. The Hudson Valley Venom. Yep, I picked them. I picked Binghamton. I picked Hudson Valley. My picks didn't work out so well with these games, but they were good games. Hudson Valley goes into Watertown, looking to capitalize on all the chaos that has taken place over the last 48 hours. And yeah, um, they were firmly ahead, and then Watertown came back. Watertown just kind of sat back, took in a deep breath, and said, "Hey, we know who we are. Let's do this thing." And Watertown made it an interesting game. So 5-4 in favor of the Venom for the game. It is, Mantis Noreika. In the chat, somebody made a comment, and they said Noreika might hit 50 goals by the time we get to the end of February at this rate. It's crazy. He now has 20 goals on the year in 15 games played. So, that other person might not be wrong. So Noreika scores at 6:19 of the first period. It is kind of a surprise contributor for the Wolves in tying it up. It's Andrew Whalen. Whalen had played a couple games earlier this year with the Wolves. He scores at 14:29, and at the end of the first period, it's 1-1. Watertown with a decided shot advantage, 16-7. We get to the second, and that's when Hudson Valley opens things up. It's a goal that at first was given to David Gaeta. They changed it and said no, it was Belov's goal. So Belov got the goal, Gaeta got the assist. And that's at 1:16 into the second period. Trevor Graspy, he scores for the Wolves on the power play at 5:58 to tie things up. Makes it very interesting. But then, it is Dustin Giseau scoring at 11:03. And so 3-2 at the end of 2 for the Venom, for HC Venom. Shots a little bit better for the Venom in the second period, 12 shots for them, as opposed to 15 for Watertown. So Watertown's got 31 shots on goal in the first two periods, but John Moriarty is making some good saves. He's looking like how he looked last Friday against Danbury. Probably his best performance of the year. So in the third, it is Noreika scoring again on a wraparound, and that's at 104 in. So it's 4-2. No, wait, it's 5-2. Noreika said, "I want my Hattie." I believe that is his fourth hat trick of the year, if I remember correctly. It's definitely 3. I think it's 4. I'm gonna have to go back and look, but yeah, it's Noreika on the power play at 7:39. So it's 5-2, and the few people who did come to Watertown Municipal Arena were kind of shocked. Yeah, crowded, a pretty small crowd there, and there's reasons for that. Watertown, they took their collective breath and said, "Let's do this." And Tate Leeson, who's back in the lineup, he scores at 11:16, and then just a minute 59 later, it's Trevor Lord scoring. So it's 5-4 with still some good amount of time left. There's still 6 minutes left in this game. Oh yeah, other interesting participant in this game, Justin Smith. Yeah, it was Schmidt. Why did I say Smith? Sorry, Justin, man. Sorry, Smitty. Okay, yeah, Justin Smith was in the lineup for the Wolves after the big post he made about going to play in senior AAA up in Quebec, and all of a sudden, bam, he was back. He was never let go by the Wolves, so he participated last night. Justin Coachman said, "Hey, I could use you. You want to play?" Smith said, "Yeah." So 5-4. And that's the way that the game ended. They did pull Bouchard late, but they couldn't generate enough offense in the Hudson Valley zone. And so there you go. Hudson Valley improves now to 6-8-1. The three-headed monster factored in very prominently as Noreika had his Hattie plus an assist. Jasso had a golden assist, and David Gaeta 4 helpers on the night. So Moriarty stops 39 of 43 shots. For the Wolves, Lisa had a goal and 2 assists. It's like he never left. He'd been out of the lineup for, I think, 3 or 4 games. Trevor Lord, goal and assist, and Andrew Whalen, a goal and assist as well. Awa Bouchard, he stops 28 of 33 in 59-31 played. So the Wolves are now 11-6-1. They've lost 5 of their last 6, looking to put it together. But obviously, they sent a message out in the third period. We're not dead. So we will see what happens tonight when the Wolves host the Danbury Hat-Tricks. That's going to be a very interesting game. I'm calling that as the game of the night for tonight. All right, Blue Ridge Bobcats. Surprise, surprise. The Bobcats can win road games. And in Carolina, too. Carolina coming in on a 9-game heater. And the Bobcats say, nope, no more. This was a really interesting game. Blue Ridge had taken the crowd out of this early. They got goals at 13-11 of the first. I'm sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong stats. It was 12-14 of the first. It was Andrew Uturo scoring. And it's 1-0 at the end of 1. Shots are 14-9 in favor of Carolina, with Cavallari in goal. Cavallari is leading every stat department you can think of, except for maybe wins. But tonight was not his night. Or last night, excuse me. Uturo puts the Blue Ridge Bobcats up. Verostek made some good saves in the opening period. In the second, it's Devin Sanders scoring for the Bobcats. It's 2-0. How about that? And then we would go for a good 8 minutes before Carolina got a good offensive opportunity. They cash in. It's Peter Panchik scoring at 10:37. So Carolina's back into it. The crowd starts to make a little bit of noise. Nick Stuckless counters that for the Bobcats at 15:57. So we go into the second intermission with it being 3-1 in favor of the Bobcats on the road. Shots through 40 minutes were 17 for the Bobcats and 24 for Carolina. And then the third period, we had the one big flurry. It was not even 3 minutes. Danik Druin scores at 6:31 on a beautiful tip. A beautiful tip in, and then 8:48, it's Dawson Baker getting a juicy rebound and scoring, and that really lit the crowd up. They really got into it. So now it is 3-3. Jan Salak scores at 19:16 to put Carolina up. The crowd goes absolutely frantic. It's crazy. And it looks like this game has slipped away from the Bobcats. But Andrew Uturo gets the Bobcats back on the board at 10:42, ties things up. And then the shocker, Filip Pavlak scores at 15:32. It's 5-4 now, and the Bobcats turned up the D, and that was it. That was it. Even with Cavallari pulled in the last minute, Carolina really couldn't get a good offensive chance, and then they take a penalty late, and that killed it. So Vorostic stops 39 of 43. Good night for him. He stopped a lot of high-quality shots in that third period, despite the 3-goal flurry. Uturo has 2 goals and an assist. Filip Pavlak, a goal and 2 assists. For Carolina, yeah, every win streak has to come to an end. They didn't play poorly. They just got beat. Panchik has a goal and 2 assists. Danik Druin, a goal and 2 assists. And Cavallari stops 23 of 28. Again, not his usual performance. The two teams will play again tonight, this time in Wytheville. So we'll see if this victory kind of rejuvenates them. I'm going a little long, so let's get right to the last game. The Bobcats are now 9-7-2. Carolina 12-2-3, still second place in the Continental Division. The first place holder, the Baton Rouge Zydeco, well, they come up a little short, but they still pick up a point. So, they actually improve their lead in the Continental Division. It's a 4-3 shootout win for the Moccasins. And the Moccasins generated a lot of offense. This is the Gary Gill era in Monroe. The guy knows how to generate offense through his systems, and the players have evidently bought in because they're getting a lot more shots on goal. Remember, the first 10 games of the season, Monroe was struggling to reach 25 shots per game. Now they're hitting 30, 35, 47. So, there's been a big change. And so you got to watch out for the Mocs. All right. The Zydeco score first. It's 13-15. Tyler Larwood scoring. He had himself a really good night. He beats Sean Kuhn. And before the period is over, though, it's Helmer Oscarson scoring on the power play at 16:26. So, and it's tied up with 1. Monroe outshooting the Zydeco 16-10. So, again, this is the Gary Gill era in Monroe. Second period, it is Corey Cunningham. He has himself a game. He gets on the board with a power play goal at 9:49. And before there's too much ink dried on my pad here, Scott Schrock even things up at 14:27. 2-2 at the end of 2 shots in the second period, 17-14 in favor of the Mocs. So the game was a little bit more wide open, but same result. a goal aside. Third period, same thing, a goal aside. Corey Cunningham puts the Moccasins up at 7:24. Almost immediately, that is answered by Tyler Larwood once again at 8:21. From there on out, the teams kind of settled in, played a defensive-minded game, worked on their 200-foot game. We go to overtime, nothing doing. Shots in the overtime session were 3-2 for the Moccasins. So the shootout we go. First round, nothing. Second round, it is Oscarson scoring, and that was going to be the only goal that was scored in the shootout session. So Mocs take the win. They improve to 10-8-4, while the Zydeco, they're now 15-5-3. Again, they picked up a point. Moccasins, they are what is a note I wrote down? In their last 13 games, the Moccasins are 9-3-1. Don't sleep on them. So very interesting night indeed in the FPHL. I've run long, so I'm going to cut this off. We got 6 games tonight. Make sure to tune in to the recaps tomorrow. And again, enjoy my nice short here. And have yourselves a wonderful day. If you're in the Northeast, take care with driving around in the snow. We will talk to you soon.